Jon Jones needs to be stripped. That's what everyone keeps saying. That's what the world's saying right now. And all the MMA fans are going mad. I've never seen such a backlash on any fighter right now, because every single man and his dog is making a video about Jon Jones being stripped from the UFC as heavyweight champion. Let me tell you something. Jon Jones is not the heavyweight champion. Maybe in the UFC have crowned him, and a lot of you fanboys have gone along with it, you know, with the narrative that Jon Jones is the best ever and he's the heavyweight champion. I'm just going to break something down to you pretty simply. I'm not going to go into major detail, but let's look at it like this. Francis Ngannou was the heavyweight champion. I've made many videos about this, but Francis Ngannou was the heavyweight champion, right? I'm going to link a lot of my videos, the old videos, to this video as well. He reigned champion, was in the UFC. He wanted to fight Jon. 3 years. Jon pulled out, dropped his belt at light heavyweight, and we thought we was going to get the fight maybe in a year's time or whatever. Jon took 3 years out. When Francis Ngannou was at the end of his contract and ready to leave the UFC, right, there was no peep out of Jon at all. As soon as Francis left the UFC and signed to the PFL, that's when Jon Jones came out and said, oh, where's Francis going? Wow, Francis is ducking me. A lot of the real fans know about that. A lot of the real fans, you know the background to that story, right? So, Jon came out, the UFC matched him up with Cyril Gane. Francis had already beaten Cyril Gane. Now, I don't care what anyone says about, oh, well, you know, Francis went life and death with Cyril Gane, whatever. First off, you got to remember he had a knee injury, okay? Coming off of a knee surgery, right? So let's just not look at it. Let's just say a win is a win. He beat him, right? Cyril Gane was a beaten man. He was never the champion. Jon Jones came out of the woodwork as soon as Francis, right, left, came out and said, oh, Francis is ducking me. He went and fought Cyril. He submitted Cyril, obviously, because Jon is a ground fighter. Jon has got a much better ground game than Cyril Gane, right? Much better wrestling and a ground game, right? We don't want to compare the two fights between Ngannou, Cyril Gane and Jon Jones, because they're all different fighters. There's a reason why Jon didn't want to fight Francis and hid for 3 years, but he came out and fought Cyril Gane in a heartbeat. It's the same reason why he wants to fight Alex Pereira, right? I'll get to that in a little while. So he beats Cyril Gane and claims for me, it's a self-proclaimed heavyweight champion of the world. Dana White crowned, yeah, he's a heavyweight champion of the world. But meanwhile, we got Tom Aspinall, right? Tom Aspinall from Manchester, England, right? My neck of the woods. He's on a surge, right? Undefeated, got a great ground game, big, strong lad, punches hard, got a few knockouts on his resume, right? And he's a dangerous guy coming up in the division. He fights against Curtis Blades in the UK. The fight gets, I don't know what it was. It was a no contest or whatever. He popped his knee or whatever. He's on a long layoff, comes back from injury, and then gets a fight with Sergey Pavlovich for the interim belt. This is where the UFC made a big mistake. If you wanted to keep Jon on the top of the totem pole and make out he was a champion and stuff like that, why do you create an interim belt? If I was Tom, if I was Tom, I would take the interim belt, live, television, whatever, and I'd throw it in the bin and say, this ain't worth shit. What's the point? Why did I fight for this belt? When you're still calling that man the champion, but that man don't want to fight me. Tom Aspinall dispatches of Sergey Pavlovich, right? Calls out Jon Jones. Jon refuses to engage. Doesn't want to fight him, but the UFC is still calling Jon the heavyweight champion. They're calling Tom the interim champion. But if you work this out, hang on a second. Sergey Pavlovich is probably the best in the division at the time. All right, you got Blades as well, another top three fighters in the division, right? Jon Jones defeated Cyril Gane to become the champion. Cyril Gane had been beaten by the former champion, right, who had never lost his belt in the octagon, Francis Ngannou. Okay, so that's Jon's claim to becoming the champion. But Tom defeats Sergey Pavlovich. you know? And Pavlovich is a top contender. So you got to work it out here. And he beats Blades. So you got to work it out here now. If none of them can fight Francis Ngannou to take Francis Ngannou's crown, the next best thing is to fight the number one contender, to beat the number one contender in your division. And that's what Tom's done. He's beaten Curtis Blades and he's beaten Sergei Pavlovich. So Jon has beaten a guy that got beaten by the champion already in his last fight. Cyril Gane was coming off of a loss. If you work out logic and work out who's the champion? But the UFC say Jon's a champion. So anyway, Jon is not interested. I'm telling you guys now, it's been 2 years since this whole thing's happened. I'm telling you now, Jon is not going to fight Tom. I don't care. I guarantee, I don't even think it's about money anymore. It's not about money anymore. Jon's just using it as an excuse. He's a narcissist. He likes the attention. He likes to call himself the GOAT, the best ever. I mean, there's a couple of videos on YouTube, I don't know if you guys have seen it, breaking down Jon's whole resume, showing that, he beat a lot of old guys who were coming up from middleweight that were at the end of their career. And Jon Jones being full of testosterone, 23, coming up, a young lad. He destroyed a lot of those guys, but he's never fought anybody in their prime. Who has Jon beaten in their prime? Who's in their prime, right? Francis Ngannou would have been a good fight for him at heavyweight. Jon's now saying he would have beaten DC at heavyweight. When DC was the heavyweight champion, DC offered Jon, come up to heavyweight and fight me. Right? We'll have a trilogy at heavyweight. Jon said no. He admitted at the time, no, DC's got the advantage at heavyweight and I prefer to try and drain him down to 205. Now he's saying he would have beaten Daniel Cormier. Come on. Come on. Some of you guys have got short memories. Jon is not the champion. This is what the fans need to do. You fans need to come out and just do not recognise Jon as a champion anymore. He's not the champion. Tom's a champion. Tom, continue with your UFC career. Carry on defending your so-called interim belt or whatever it is, or even just chuck it in the bin and just say, right, fuck it. Come on, let's fight. I'll fight whoever, take on whoever, and that's it. The fans could recognise Tom as a champion, and Jon's a duck. Whether he drops the belt or whether he goes and fights Alex Pereira. Another reason I said I'll come back to Alex Pereira. The only reason one wants a Pereira fight, we all know this, is because he can take Pereira down and beat the shit out of him. Because Pereira can't wrestle. So anyway, listen, I don't know what to say about Jon Jones. He ain't going to fight Aspinall. So I think it's time for you fans to just move on. Just move on, right? Start talking about Tom Aspinall being the champion. Who is he going to fight next? And just erase Jon Jones from your memory. I mean, just count him out now. He's retired. Just see him as a retired fighter. And that's it. I've had enough of this Jon Jones shit. Seriously, it's time for the fans. Because you fans, you guys are in control here. If you don't watch the fight, or you don't pay for the pay-per-views, the UFC can't function. If you guys don't like something, you're vocal about it, the UFC don't give a shit about it, then you need to hit them in the pocket. That's why I stream fights. I haven't paid for a UFC fight for, I can't even remember how long or ever. They don't give you the fights you want, I don't pay for it. That's what it is. Anyway, enough said. Do us a favour, smash the like button, hit the bell for notifications to get all the new latest videos.